Alright, so my name's Taylor, and this is my analysis of social psychological variables applied in the People's Temple documentary. So the first factor I chose was the social influence of obedience, and that's basically how people are influenced by what's being told to them or the orders that they're being given. And the two factors that stuck out to me the most that I could apply in the movie was the person giving the orders was close at hand and was perceived as a legitimate higher authority, and the authority figure is supported by a powerful or respectable institution. So I'll start out by explaining the first one. So the person giving the orders was, of course, Jim Jones, and he was at close at hand with the members of his temple because he was doing something that was totally different in the time that he was in. Racism and things were looked down upon, and such as blacks. So everything was segregated. There wasn't churches of both races or even bathrooms or restaurants. There was limited places where people could go. So he wanted to have a place where people felt welcomed and that they could come to and still be a part of a church. So I would say he was perceived as a little or a legitimate higher authority because people saw what he was doing as something totally amazing and different, and they wanted to be a part of it. So the people that didn't conform to the norms of that time period could experience non-segregated churches. So the second one, the authority figure is supported by a powerful, respected institution. So the authority figure, still being Jim Jones, was supported by the People's Temple. So, like I said earlier, it was respected because, not by all, because the video also showed that there was people coming in and just to explain why they don't agree with his ways and what he was doing. But also it was powerful because people were like, yes, this is finally something that we can go to, and that's not going to dissect people by the color of their skin or what they believe in. So the second factor was the foot in the door phenomenon. So what it is the allowance for people who have first agreed to a small task and gradually agree to slightly bigger and bigger tasks. The development of the phenomenon is researchers or authority figures almost tricking the individuals into acting against their beliefs, and then eventually doing becomes believing. So, during Jim Jones, his preachings in the temple, he started to ask more and more from his members, things like him asking people to come in the first place, like people that agreed or disagreed, like I said earlier, were coming and just to see what it was. They put their foot slightly in the door to just see and test the water on what he was actually doing. And so once they figured out what he was actually doing and that it was just by the look of things good, they were like, oh yes, this is something that I want to be a part of. So the foot in the door phenomenon was, so they agreed to be a part of it in the first place. And so during his preachings, or one of them, which I'll show you in a minute, was that he passed out what was believed to be punch to the members. And he told them after they drank it that it was indeed poison. And so the reactions of the members was differentiated. Some, it said, screamed from their kids because their kids had drank it. And then some people just rested and still were quiet. So, but he was testing whether they, like, his loyalty or their loyalty to him in the church. So this is that clip. Okay, so, like in the video, he was testing their trust, which in the end subsequently killed them, because they were listening to him and they had gotten to that point of the phenomenon that that bigger task of asking them to drink the cyanide was nothing. But if he had asked that at the beginning, right after they had entered his church and wanted to be a part of the temple, that would have been out of the question. Nobody would have done it because it was such a big task. But all of those smaller ones along the way, all the trips, and like he asked them to sell their homes, things like that, it was nothing to them, which I think was really scary. And then the final factor that I chose was the role-playing with attitudes. The role of expectations or norms about a social position defining how those of the position should behave. So this didn't really occur until later in the documentary, the People's Temple members started to have to play a role because there was no way out. So once they got to that point of no return, they couldn't get out of the situation. The things that he was asking them to do was way over their head, but still they stuck with it. They were playing this role, which in the end was what killed them. Because at first they were questioning if his ways were real, if it was really what they wanted. But the role of actually being a part of what he was about became reality. Because when you experience or take on new roles, you know you stand out. Those people knew that what they were doing was different, but and like they knew they kind of didn't fit, but after doing it day after day, service after service, they realized it was reality, what they had believed and what they had wanted from or seen from Jim Jones was their role, what they were acting. So I thought this documentary was very interesting. After clicking on it, it was nothing what I thought it was going to be, and the ending was very horrific. And it's an extreme scale of social, psychological information, but it was a very good learning experience. I really liked this way of doing things. The presentation, it just helps me like doing it more because I am a more kinesthetic or bodily kinesthetic learner. It helps me apply it in different situations and hopefully it will prepare me more for the test. So I hope I did okay on this. I tried my best. So hopefully that was okay. But thank you.